Whilst we're talking, there is, over the skies of the world, the most extraordinary display of something, objects in our skies, the frequency of which I've never had reported to me to such an extent before. It's off the charts. It's absolutely amazing to be receiving reports, as I am hourly, minute by minute, from people in countries all over the world who are saying that they are seeing objects, strange objects, glowing luminous orbs, orange orbs, blue triangular shaped objects hovering over often sensitive military facilities.
For several weeks, beginning in November, social media has been agog with news of mysterious drone sightings across various regions of the world, notably in the northeastern United States and parts of Europe. In the United States, the phenomenon gained significant attention in mid-November 2024, particularly in New Jersey, where residents observed bright lights in the night sky, believed to be drones. The sightings quickly spread to neighboring states, including New York, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. Descriptions of the drones varied, with some witnesses reporting large commercial-grade devices with diameters up to 6 feet. Notably, these drones were spotted near sensitive locations such as the Picatinny Arsenal and Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster. Internationally, similar unexplained drone incursions have been reported. In late November 2024, unauthorized drone activities were observed over U.S. Air Force bases in the United Kingdom, including RAF Lakenheath and RAF Mildenhall. Additionally, in December 2024, drones were seen over the U.S. Air Base Ramstein in Germany, as well as German arms manufacturing facilities, raising concerns about potential espionage or security threats. News of these sightings became even more concerning when social media users and former pilots began to observe that the mysterious flying objects were not behaving like normal drones, showing traits of very advanced technologies, especially technologies one would expect from a more advanced species. People have referred to these mysterious flying objects as drones, misidentified regular aircraft glowing orbs, and, most disturbingly, unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs. As expected, our governments have not given us any definitive or substantial explanations about what's happening, so we are left with grappling at straws to try to understand what's happening in our skies and what comes next. In this video, we will bring you some important clips from experts and concerned individuals trying to help us make sense of what's happening amid the very loud silence from authorities. Please watch, share, and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for the support, and enjoy the video.
Whilst we're talking, there is, over the skies of the world, the most extraordinary display of something, objects in our skies, the frequency of which I've never had reported to me to such an extent before. It's off the charts. It's absolutely amazing to be receiving reports, as I am hourly, minute by minute, from people in countries all over the world who are saying that they are seeing objects, strange objects, glowing luminous orbs, orange orbs, blue triangular shaped objects hovering over often sensitive military facilities. Now, of course, the biggest area of reports has been in the United Kingdom in recent weeks, and we know that over some of the most sensitive bases in the UK, RAF Lakenheath, RAF Feltwell, bases where the United States allegedly stores nuclear weapons, there have been sightings of strange drone-like craft for some time. Now, why do I say drone-like craft? Well, I only say that because intelligence community sources have been in my ear for some time, assuring me that these are not aliens, they're not unidentified anomalous phenomena. They are reportedly, according to intelligence insiders, known foreign adversarial drones. They must be highly advanced drones based on what I'm hearing, but the claim is that they are foreign adverse drones, foreign adversarial nation drones. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't necessarily believe everything I'm told by members of the intelligence community, and I think we're entitled to be skeptical in this case. not least because we know from intercepted military communications before they were digitized and encrypted when they realized their comms were being monitored, some of the clever skywatchers around RAF bases in the United Kingdom picked up on the fact that at least one pilot was referring to UAPs, not drones. So if the pilots themselves that are being sent up to intercept these objects perceive them as unidentified anomalous phenomena, not drones, what aren't we being told? And that's the bigger issue here. As Ryan Graves from Americans for a Safe Aerospace has told us repeatedly, he's the former pilot who was involved in the extraordinary spate of sightings off the East Coast involving deployments in training exercises where they witnessed weird anomalous objects. He's been warning for a while that we need to know for sure that our aerospace is safe. And at the moment, the US government, quite transparently, and neither can the British government, nor my country, the Australian government, give that assurance in the face of what we are seeing in our skies. For 2 weeks plus now, I think it's up to 16, 17 days, there have been sightings of craft of some kind. Some of them apparently do have an audio signature that is consistent with some kind of propeller or helicopter blade. They're not jet turbine, but they are hovering in some cases for many, many hours at an end, basically continuing to hover over very sensitive military facilities with apparent impunity. Now, whatever you say about whether these are UAPs or drones, that's an issue. That's a national security concern. And some of the people in the national security complex would basically say that's a threat, because until we know what they are, they are, by definition, a threat. And so, whilst people often get accused of pushing a threat narrative about unidentified objects, that's what they're talking about here. And I think that's the big issue here that a lot of people, including most of the mainstream media, are missing. Let's compare what happened in February last year, in 2023. One Chinese spy balloon set the entire US media and the Congress into hysterics. They went off their rocker with concern about this unwarranted intrusion into American aerospace. And we still don't know what the remaining 3 objects were that were shot down over, I think there was Alaska, then there was the Yukon, and then there were 2 parts of the United States, the main continental United States. But there's still a mystery over 3 of those objects. What the hell were they? We still don't know. Has the media been inquisitive about it? Not at all. That's the issue here. Why was there a hullabaloo and a big alert and concern about those objects and not these current objects that are still hovering with impunity over some of the most sensitive military facilities on the planet? And right now, we are teetering, sadly, on the edge of a third world war. It's not an overstatement to say that we are in very dangerous times. And I suspect that this is the real backdrop to why we're not being told what's going on. I think the US knows full well what these objects are, be they foreign adversary drones or UAPs. I still think that's a possibility. But if it is a foreign adversary drone, and they're operating with impunity over our airspace, over sensitive military facilities, not only is that a national security concern, for the United States and for the United Kingdom to directly accuse, say, Russia or China, which I'm told is more likely, to say that China has been deploying drones over sensitive British airbases is tantamount to accusing China of an act of war. And that's why we don't want to identify, that's what I'm being told at least, that's why we don't want to identify the foreign adversary nation that we suspect is involved in this.
The Pentagon has denied that any foreign country was behind the mysterious flying objects. During a press briefing earlier this month, Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said there was no evidence that the drones have come from a foreign entity or were the work of an adversary. At no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring, she added. This has led to a lot of conjectures that the US government is fully aware of the origins of these flying objects and their exact mission in our skies. President-elect Donald Trump has questioned whether such activities could occur without the full knowledge of the U.S. government. According to Trump, the federal government knows the points of origin of the mystery drones, but wants to keep people in suspense. Many people agree with Trump's observations as a result of many past precedents of our governments and how much this entire affair has been shrouded in secrecy. Chase Hughes, a leading behavior expert who teaches military units, intelligence organizations, businesses, police, and corporate executives cutting-edge behavior skills, warns that there is so much we are not being told about these mysterious flying objects. Like Trump, he believes our governments, especially the U.S. government, are fully aware of what's happening and may even be involved in these strange activities. Here is a clip from his recent video on the issue.
So the government's kind of gone from decades of denial to throwing around terms like UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, in official hearings. Add to that this sudden rise in reports of drones all over the place, these weird sightings and emergency declarations that are going on, I think in New Jersey right now. And it feels like we're being prepped for something. But what are we being prepared for? So let's dig in. So why would this be happening right now? So we're going to go both sides. It's aliens, it's not aliens. Let's do both sides here. Most governments don't just usually open up about things like this without a reason. With all governments, when they start pushing a narrative, it's most often to serve a bigger agenda if this is deliberate. So here are three possible reasons I can think of why this might be happening. Number one, a distraction tactic. When huge issues are brewing, like economic instability, political unrest, global crises, somebody's done something bad and it's about to get in the news, governments usually and very often create some kind of distraction. So remember when the Pentagon released UFO footage in 2020. That conveniently happened during a global pandemic, this chaotic thing that was going on around the entire world that we all suffered through. Number two, using fear as a tool. So fear unites people. So if there is a threat big enough, and I want you to remember, if you're just listening to me right now, I'm sitting on your kitchen counter or something like that and you're making dinner, I said the word threat with huge quotes around it. If there's a threat big enough, like UFOs, people are more likely to trust their leaders, give up freedoms, and rally behind whatever solution that they're offered. It's the same playbook used during the Cold War. This was called the Red Scare for that reason. Or post 9/11 with the War on Terror and the Patriot Act. And then number three, testing the waters. This goes back to BC years. All three of these things go back to the BC years. This is not something that's original. So governments tend to test and gauge how people react. So if we accept UFOs as real and we don't freak out, that means we can kind of escalate the narrative without any pushback. So think of it like kind of a slow drip instead of pouring it all out at one time. And if you want to look back at some of these historical parallels, this is not the first time this has happened. There's just a few that come to mind right now. The first is the Gulf of Tonkin. This happened in 63 or 64, 1963 or 64. The United States used extremely questionable reports of attacks on naval ships, which were not true, to justify escalating this Vietnam War. And then in 1962, we had this thing called Operation Northwoods. This is a declassified plan about the U.S. officials staging, quote, fake attacks, completely fake attacks, like blowing up planes with people in them to justify military actions against Cuba. And in the post 9/11, what I would call a fear campaign. So after the attacks, governments push for these just sweeping changes like the Patriot Act, which expanded massive surveillance under the guise of terrorism. So if you just replace terrorism or communism with UFOs, you can start to see a pattern. So what might be happening? What might be happening right here? It might upset you. It might piss you off, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. So keep that in your back pocket for just a second. Number one is a normalization phase. So just steadily leaking UFO footage, holding hearings, using all these terms like UAPs all the time. The government makes the idea of something out there seem reasonable. So this keeps people curious, but not panicked. Curious, but not panicked. The second part of this is setting the stage for a big reveal. And I want you to keep that one in mind. So at some point, we might see a more dramatic event, like a giant UFO sighting over a major city, or footage that is just impossible to dismiss. And you could think giant holograms, giant drones, or other advanced tech just creating something that you cannot ignore. So number three would be a need for a savior. So once the threat feels real enough, governments or even global coalitions could step in as these heroes, and they might call for increased defense budgets. Maybe all the governments in this area need to unite into one big government, maybe a global response team, and I say that with quotes around it, to handle this threat. So this could lead to giant power shifts and more control in fewer hands is kind of maybe the goal of that.
While Hughes is choosing to put nothing above the U.S. government, a very wise choice, if we may add, retired Air Force Colonel Drew Miller believes this entire situation has China written all over it.
The explanation that it is enemy reconnaissance and it's also commercial testing scores fairly high, almost an 8. It's a good explanation, and that is the theory I believe in. I believe that, and to be more specific, I believe that what's been going on for the past several years and is still going on today is that Chinese agents, there's thousands of them in the U.S., no doubt about that evidence. A U.S. sheriff even reported late last year, he came back from an FBI briefing and he put out a video, probably wasn't supposed to, and he just said the FBI just briefed him that the Chinese have safe houses in every single state in the United States. We know there are thousands of Chinese agents in the U.S. We've had tons of espionage cases where we've tracked Chinese down and prosecuted them. And by the way, a lot of these cases relate to things like aerospace technology and drones and spying on naval bases, etc. So that fits as well in this. But the most important thing I want to add to this is I think these are Chinese agents operating via a front company, and a drone front company, probably a taxi company. So there's over 200 companies we know of that are working in this space. China has some of the best already and biggest urban air mobility, UAM, urban air mobility, or air taxi companies. China's got one. And if you're going to operate that, again, where are you going to be operating it? New York City, New Jersey. So that makes sense for that. And it certainly makes sense for operations over military bases. Chinese agents using a front company, an air taxi company. So they got great cover. And, in the military, we like to do concealment. I can even tell you the Russian words for it, Maskirovka, disinformatia, and hiding in plain sight is the best thing you can do. Because if you got some secret base, it could be found. If I've got an air taxi company and the U.S. comes knocking on my door, what are these drones doing? Well, they're practicing. They're going out at night because, we're a commercial company. We've got secrets. We're flying at night, and we're testing, flying in the New Jersey corridor. And so you've got really, really good cover to do this. And most, if it's a front company, they have legitimate work. They actually are developing drone technology and if it's China, stealing other drone technology while they're out doing it. That makes a lot of sense. And the last explanation was it's enemy reconnaissance, and it's also R-cube, Rument reinforced randomness. That is definitely going on. So I think the explanation for the drone activity we've been seeing is that it's probably a Chinese front company is doing the worst of it, the flying over the military bases to be sure, and a lot of the New Jersey activity as well. They're developing air taxis. That's their legitimate cover, but they're also, while we're flying our air taxi route, let's go over Pickney and in New Jersey and take some photos there or get some imagery, some intel collection there. And then there's also a lot of rumit reports. So you're getting a lot of false reports and people are just looking. So to me, that explains what's going on. But the government explanation that they give that we don't know what it is, but you don't need to worry about it is an absolute lie. I don't buy that for a second. Almost no one does. And that's a pretty sad statement on the state of our government.
Whether this is the work of a foreign adversarial entity, the U.S. government, or a greater force we currently know nothing about, it is certain that it is not a normal occurrence that should just be swept under the carpet like our government will have us do. We must remain vigilant and in expectation of further warning signs of the real endgame behind all this. What are your thoughts on the mysterious drone sightings? Do you think there is a foreign entity in action? Or it is the U.S. government trying to normalize strange occurrences like this in preparation for even stranger things to happen? Or do you think this has all been one giant distraction tactic? Please share your thoughts, comments, and observations in the comments section below. If you liked this video and want more content like this, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.